Hi, I'm Duckball, and this week I implemented genetics and did a major UI overhaul. I'll show you what the new version looks like, and then you'll probably ask the question, why is this such a big thing? Well, then I'll explain, because it took me nearly the whole week to get all of this consistent and getting it working, but I'll show you first what it is and then I'll explain a little bit about it. So here we have the new tower management window. Obviously this is not laid out correctly yet. This is very small on the screen, the information, but the rest of the window has been vastly updated from a technical perspective on where it was before. So let me explain. Before, these towers, I would click on one and it would open a little panel up in the corner. I'll try to show some footage of the old version. And then to open a different tower, I'd have to close the window and then open another tower. And if I wanted to drag a skill or a skill modifier into the slots, I would have to separately open the inventory and drag something over. It was really clunky to manage towers. So let's have a look at the new version. Here we have the tower management screen, and it's no longer the single tower screen. I can open a tower by clicking on one, just like before, but this time we have a few other things. We have the information panel, which is currently very sparse, but it'll fill up. And then on the person tab, also still very sparse, but will fill up, we can see there's a person. Now, to select a person, we have this tab on the side where I can select a person. And at the moment, I can change this person, but in the final game, you won't be able to. Once a person's in, it's in. So, and yeah, again, person, the name of this will change. I'm just using person now for development. Skills panel, same thing. So we have this skills tab where we can select a skill for the skill slot. And we have on the right-hand side a modifier slot where we can select our modifiers for the modifiers. I will change this layout so that the modifiers sit on the right half and the skill on the left so that these expandable menus are a little bit easier to use. So in terms of the layout of this, and part of what was the difficulty was each of these tabs has a different set of things that you can drag and drop. And as we can see, the tabs on the sides appear and disappear and change context based on the tab we're in. I'll show you in the hatchery window later where I've made use of these side tabs similarly for being able to drag relevant items into where they need to go. Now, the other thing I've done on this tower management screen down the bottom, we can see we have access to our towers, so we can go directly between all of them directly from here. So this is a major just quality of life improvement. And each of the tabs updates correctly. We can see the skills, so I can modify the, say I put one of these in here on this tower, go to the other tower and come back. We can see it correctly updates. There's no person in that one, but that's fine. I'm not going to add one now. So this is the first step towards a much better tower management UI system. And obviously, like the main panels here, I haven't styled or changed yet, but the surroundings and the mechanics and how it works has had a major overhaul. Similarly, if I close the tower management window and bring up the hatchery window, you can see it's the same general style of the layout. I've done some slight styling here, but this is also nowhere near how it's going to be. And just like the tower windows, we can bring out these windows. Here we can select father, and then here we can select mother, and it works as before. And then all of the eggs and everything are the same as they were last time. The traits, I'm going to go through this later. First, I'm going to talk about the UI, then we'll come back to this, which is the other part of this week's work. But for now, that is what the new UI looks like. Now, why was this such a big thing? Why did it take so many days? Well, let's have a look at some code. So I'm not going to go through specifically what every line of code here does, but this looks like a regular HTML page. And for the most part, it kind of is. It's RML, but it is essentially HTML. So this is just what you would expect from HTML, a bunch of divs and whatever else, a bunch of tags with dynamic information going in various parts. Now, this is all well and good, but the problem I was having before is because I was sort of just building in a hurry, this HTML page or RML page, this is for the hatchery, for the breeding panel, has no consistency with this, which is the tower panel. So again, if I scroll down here, again, looks like HTML. So there was no consistency. So for styling and everything else, it was a bit difficult. Every single one had its own RCSS or CSS file, and it was just getting really messy. So I thought it's time to consolidate this all and make it more consistent. So I went and had a look at templates in RmlUi. And here's what I've come up with. I spent some time, a couple of hours, kind of just designing and figuring out what do I want each panel to look like to contain. So I've made these templates over here. So we've got window container, header, tabs. It's kind of structured a little bit like what a regular website or web page would be structured like, with the addition of these context panels left and right. Those are the tabs with the drawers that you saw before. And we can see we've got a footer, main content, we've got a tab row at the top, and we've got a header. So this is what you would expect to see on a regular website. And the HTML template now, or not the template, but the skeleton structure now looks like this. So I can basically now just copy and paste this entire page, all of this code. And if I want a new panel, I can just paste it in the new panel, and I can just put stuff in here. So this will show when the left tab is expanded, right? Because this is the left panel drawer, and so on and so forth. So this is very easy for me now to just put stuff where I need it. I can put conditional things in here, like with the other one I can show you later. I've got a conditional on what shows in the tab, the heading, the page tabs, main content, and footer. So this is now much easier for me to work with, and all of the styling for the sections are contained inside each template. So if we have a look at the left drawer template, the left drawer template looks like this. So any of the classes and the styling is contained directly inside here. It just makes it much easier to modify things. I modify it once, it fixes it everywhere. And new pages now just will take the styling and the visuals of every other page. So this took me quite a number of, it took me about 4 days actually. So for example, today is Monday. Normally I release a video on Friday. I was still going on finalizing some of this yesterday on Sunday, which is why I haven't released this video until today. So finally, everything is working nicely. The basis of how it's going to appear is there. I'm happy with it. Some of the colors and whatnot still need a bit of work, some of the styling, but layout-wise, it works as I want. In terms of conditional rendering on the tabs, this is the new tower window I've got. So here's the definition of the left drawer. And then I've simply got a couple of ifs here, conditionals. So if this is show person drawer, then we show the contents for the person drawer. If it's the skill left drawer, then we show the contents for that. Similarly for the tabs or the right drawer, we've got one here. And then similarly for the tabs here. So left tab, I just show the tab label dependent on which tab we're actually in. So yeah, much happier with how this templating system works. RmlUi does also have a custom element or the ability to write a custom element. But I think for the complexity of the layouts that I'm making here at this stage, I don't need to delve into that because you obviously have to write custom code and handlers and controllers to make the custom elements work. So right now, I think maybe overkill for what I need, but we'll see. An example of that and where they've used it is the tab set here. So this tab set element is an RmlUi element, which is a custom element. So you have the ability in RmlUi to build this, which makes RmlUi behave much closer to something like Angular, React, Svelte, Vue, etc., where you can build custom components. So it's actually really, really powerful, and there's a lot you can do to bring it in line with some of the better web frameworks. The more I use this RmlUi, the more I'm enjoying how it works. And that is the UI update for this week. The other thing to show was the genetics. So I teased this last week with just a statically coded UI, and this one little string here is also just statically coded as a test. However, if I drag a father in here, don't worry about this overlap here. This is, again, just I need to fix this, but we can see that this is the father's genome here. This is coming directly from the person that I put in here, and that is their unique genome. So we can see if I drag someone else in, they have a different genome string, and this person has no traits in the string. So I'll explain all of that in a minute. But if we get someone else again, we can see a different list of traits. And if we get the original one, there are more traits again. So what this means, let me get one with less traits so that it's a bit easier to figure out. So here we go. So forget this test long string here. Let's take this CTA. CTA, it was found once and it gives +2 agility. So what that means is in this genetic string, the substring CTA was found once. So CTA is right here. It starts at this letter C, T, A. All right, so it found that. And if that exists anywhere in the genome, then this character will get +2 agility. And similarly, ACG should be in there once, and it gives +2 vitality. Now, TAC was found twice, but bonuses don't stack. So if it's found once or more, it will only apply once. This person over here, where were they? Where did they go? This one. I've actually never seen this many on one, so that's cool. What's I got? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got 5 matches. Also, these 3-letter matches are appearing entirely too often. So I most likely will get rid of 3-letter matches and start at 4 because I want these traits to be a little bit more rare. So let's take somebody with less. Where do they go? That one. And similarly, let's put in, here we go. So we've got a mother now that has 2 traits found as well. So if we just let this go and we wait for a couple of eggs, let's see if we can get some interesting mutations happen on the offspring. Okay, I just had to clear my inventory because it wasn't hatching the new eggs. So these now, I've put in one of the new offspring females, and we can see that it's retained ACG. So the father had ACG and it's come across. So just to confirm, we can see that on the father, it existed here. ACG was the first 3 letters. And now on the offspring, ACG is the first 3 letters. So this female inherited this ACG trait from the father. Now, these are not guaranteed, and it is possible to lose them through a process of what we call crossover and mutation, but I don't want it to be too easy to transfer traits, especially later on. There'll be some other things that'll make these kind of powerful or not. So I want this system of breeding to be a little bit RNG, but also you should be able to attain what you want and combine various traits to get, some ultimate super offspring eventually. So it is possible, but it's not going to be guaranteed. But here we can see kind of how it works. And obviously don't worry about the UI. I will fix all that later to make it easier. But this is the beginnings of the new genetic system that I've been building. There will be a version of this genetic system as well for visuals, as in the cosmetics, hair color, eye color, ears, face shape, etc. That is also going to be inherited via genetics, but it won't be visual like this. It's going to be invisible, and your offspring will just inherit traits from both father and mother over time. So that's my genetic system, at least the first pass of it. I'll be tweaking it over time and making it better or worse, or, just balancing it and just seeing where it's going to feel and how it's going to feel good. So we can see now working, offspring will get a combination of stat mutations and trait mutations to make them more powerful. So I didn't want this to be just more stats equals better. These traits are going to be a huge part of the game later on, as well as high stats. So that's the new stuff this week. I don't know, maybe it doesn't seem like much, but it really, this took me a lot of braining this last week. Again, hence why video today is coming out on Monday and not last Friday. But I digress. It is what it is. I am happy with where it's going. But today's Monday, so I'm not going to say goodbye because I'm going to go enjoy the weekend. I'm going to say goodbye because now I'm going to get back to work and improve some of this even more. So I hope you all had a good weekend. Thanks for watching once again. I'm Duckball, and enjoy your week.